Hello, welcome back. We're going to do another story by Robert Whiting from Robert Whiting's Japan, which you can find on robertwhiting.substack.com. Today, this is an article he wrote, Bob wrote July 10th, 2023, and it's about a former baseball player named Clyde Wright. And the title is Crazy Wright had a tough time adjusting to Japanese baseball. Now, before I start, we're talking about Clyde Wright. He was born February 20th, 1941. So he's 82 years old. He's from Jefferson City, Tennessee, and I think his nickname was Skeeter. Before he came to Japan, he actually played in the majors. He played for the California Angels from 66 to 73. He played for the Milwaukee Brewers for 1974, Texas Rangers 1975, and then he came to Japan and played for the Yomiuri Giants from 76 to 78. One of the things when he was at college, he went to, I think in his hometown, he went to Carson Newman College, and he took his team to the 1965 NAIA, that's a National Athletics Intercollegiate Association Baseball World Series. And during that, he struck out 22 batters in one game. And that still stands as a NAIA World Series record. So, anyways, he's an interesting guy. And I have a kind of a footnote after I finish Bob's article. Anyways, again, it's Crazy Wright had a tough time adjusting to Japanese baseball. Tokyo. A reader writes in regard to my recent column describing Clyde, quote, Crazy Wright, urinating into a reporter's hat and asks, why did he do that? Allow me to explain. Wright had a temper, yes. He was involved in fights on the field, which veteran reporters covering the Giants found distasteful because the Yomiuri Code of Ethics deemed that the Giants players always be gentlemen. So a reporter for the Hochi Shimbun, it's a top sports daily published by the Yomiuri Shimbun, wrote an article saying that the Giants should get rid of Wright because he was an embarrassment to the team. Well, Wright at the time was leading the team in wins and thought the article might have mentioned that. So he espied the reporter's hat sitting in the Giants dugout one afternoon during pregame workouts. And while the said reporter was on the field interviewing another Giants player, he relieved himself in it. He watched from afar with great amusement as the reporter returned to discover the dirty, disgusting deed. The man was aghast that someone would actually do what Wright had done to his hat, but Wright considered it just punishment. During his 2.5 years with the Giants, Wright found himself constitutionally unable to obey the 10 commandments for proper deportment the front office had delivered onto him and set a club record for fines, both on and off the field. Once he approached a veteran umpire who had just received an award for officiating his 2,700th game and said, "Congratulations. Let's see, that's 2,700 games times 10 mistakes a game. That equals 27,000 mistakes. That's some career." He struck out fellow American Charlie Manuel, who I did a piece on just yesterday, playing for the Central League's Yakult Swallows 4 times in a game, and then afterward, over drinks at Wright's apartment, teased him mercilessly about it. "Charlie," said Wright, "your problem is you just can't hit left-handers." Both Wright and Manuel were lefties, although Wright batted with his right hand. Wright kept it up until Manuel couldn't stand it anymore, and he busted his tormentor in the eye. When Wright showed up at the park the next morning with a noticeable shiner, the press corps cheered at the sight. Wright found his hosts as bewildering as they found him. He'd lost 2 games in a row in the early part of his first season, And a Giants executive suggested that maybe Wright's son might want to consider sending his wife back to the States because too much sex was obviously interfering with his pitching. He finished the season with a record of 8-7 and an ERA of 3.32, helping the Giants win the 1976 Central League pennant. The following year, he won his first 4 games in April, on his way to helping the Giants win a second straight flag, and a Giants pitching coach told him he was winning too much and that the other players would get angry. If he gave up a home run to another American, the coach would invariably say, "Presento? Was that a present?" One afternoon during a Golden Week home game in 1977 versus the Hanshin Tigers, Wright unleashed a couple of pitches behind the head of a Tigers batter. The Hanshin manager rushed on the field and a bench-clearing brawl ensued, during which Wright's teammates tried to pull him back to keep him from hurting someone. Takiko Besho, a former Giants star pitcher, fulminated in a newspaper column, "Wright is a despicable guy. The actions of the Tigers were understandable and natural in light of what Wright did. A bad man is a bad man." Besho did not wear a hat to the ballpark on his next visit. Thereafter, Wright received numerous death threats from Hanshin Tigers fans. One could hear insults in English emanating from them. "Wright, you cocksucker! Wright, fuck you!" On the road in Osaka to play the Tigers, he would receive calls to his hotel room, and a voice would say in broken English, "I kill you, Wrighto," or "Go home, you crazy gaijin." Midway through the 1978 season, Wright was engaged in an on-field brawl at Korakuen Stadium, ignited when his American teammate, John Sippen, angered over a brushback pitch, rushed the mound to attack the defending pitcher. The next day, he was once again X-rated in the press, including its own hometown Tokyo press. Wright, his nerves frayed and his arm ailing, and the Giants fading from contention later that season, decided to call it quits. "There's a double standard," he said. "It's always the fault of the gaijin." At Haneda Airport, when asked if he had any advice for his American replacement on the Giants, he replied, "Yeah, don't come." You can read more about Clyde Wright in Robert Whiting's book, You Gotta Have Wa. Okay, and that is the end, but it's not over. There's an interesting bit about Clyde Wright because I went and looked at the wiki, and it said after he came back from Japan, and after his major league days, baseball days, he was afraid that he might be an alcoholic. So, as you heard, he was drinking quite heavily when he was in Japan. And over the next few years after he got back to the States, the problem worsened. So there was an interview in the Los Angeles Times in 1996, and he explained in 1979, his wife Vicky, the one whom the coach said should go back to the States because Wright was maybe having too much sex and therefore it was interfering with his performance. His wife Vicky gave him an ultimatum. She said, "Stop drinking or she's going to divorce him." So he went golfing one day, and then he was drinking, and then when he came home, she was gone, he said. When she came back, his son Jarrett was in the van. So he went to open the door, and he pushed the lock down. I mean, he was 3 years old. So after that, Clyde Wright indicated he hasn't had a drink since. So after he retired as a pitcher, he had a pitching school, the Clyde Wright pitching school, that was over near the batting cages in Anaheim, California. And I think he is now doing. I'm not sure still. I mean, he's 82 years old, but he may still be doing public relations for the Angels. And so this is a great story. And also, I really enjoyed that. I didn't know about his college days, but yeah, he's from East Tennessee, Jefferson City. I think you'd call it East Tennessee. And that's all for now. Anyways, I wanted to really do this quickly right after reading the story on Charlie Manuel. And again, I'm really happy to hear that Mr. Manuel is is on his way to recovery after his stroke back in September. You can go to his Twitter account. This is Charlie Manuel. Uh, it's at Mark CM Baseball 41, and I think he's posted some of his updates on his recovery. He's down in Florida. That's why it still looks pretty good. Anyways, that's all. If you like this, please indicate a like and subscribe if you haven't. And if you have any requests, you can put them in the comments below. And have a very, very, very wonderful day.